I suppose they have to worry about his mood as much, because if he gets himself sent off or in bother if they find themselves in a sticky situation again like last year.
Yeah.
He didn't show great qualities there, but if he does keep it all together, he is a great player. In terms of rising star, I've picked a player we've been talking about for like 3 years in Alex Mellor. But I really want to see what he's learned and how he's developed, and whether he is really ready for the Super League. Now, I feel like physically he is, talent-wise he is. You know, he's a quick lad for that position. He reminds me almost like of a young Gareth Hock in a lot of ways, in the way he carries the ball up and the way he can scare a team. But he also then has a bit more composure of the likes of a rangy kind of Jack Hughes player as well. I just think he has got the full package, so it'll be interesting to see if he can step up and deliver. Yeah,
I like him. He's like a young Steve Menzies for me, Alex Mellor. My rising star is Adam O'Brien. He's a friend of the podcast and a Facebook friend of mine, so it would be harsh not to pick him. But I think he's a player that's under some people's radars, because a lot of his development was done during a time when the Bulls were really struggling, and then when they were in the Championship. So he is a rising star, and he could be a hooker in a top 4 Super League side in 3 or 4 years' time for me, without a shadow of a doubt. So the only way we've differed there, my key man's definitely Danny Brough. The only way we've differed is on the rising star. So, League and Cup predictions, Mark. What say ye?
Well, I've got them 8th in Super League, then 8th in the Super 8s, and I might give him a cup semi, I think.
Really?
Yeah, give him a cup semi.
Give him a semi, just to cheer him up. Well, I've got them at 10th this year. I don't think they're going to make the top 8, but staying up comfortably, 2nd in the middle 8s, and not quite making the quarterfinals. I've got them out in the 5th or 6th round, whatever it is, that's pre-quarterfinals for the Giants. Now, we did get some fan feedback again. We've got some lovely listeners over at I nearly said Fartown for a second there. We've got some lovely listeners over at the John Smiths. James got in touch. He said a top 4 finish with fast attacking rugby. I think you've
was that his say what?
I was just about to say, I think you've let the lads say what game there for a second. Big Dave Cantrell says it's going to be a much better year than 2016. Regression to the mean means that we can expect to be solidly mid-table, so make the top 8 but probably not the playoffs. Mike Dyson, he says, with a full pre-season under our new coach and a head conditioner who could potentially be our best signing, a top 4 finish should be achievable. The amount of games lost by less than a try was unacceptable in 2016. Paul Michael Craig, the Thunder from Down Under, says they're going to scrape into the Super 8s. And Mark Wilcote says, we'll surprise a lot of people. No one seems to be giving us a chance because we were slow to start signing, but we're now building a solid squad for 2017. Can't see us ending up in the middle 8s again. So much more positivity than I'm prepared to dole out coming out of the John Smiths, Mark.
Yeah, there you go.
Fabulous. Okay, that takes us quite neatly then to the other massive failure story of Super League 2016, which was the Leeds Rhinos.
Yeah, they actually finished 9th in the Super League standings in the end. It wasn't as horrific as we all imagined it was, but 9th for Leeds Rhinos was a big shock.
Actually, I started the year thinking they'd do the treble march. It was pretty horrific for me.
They were first in the qualifiers. They eased through that, winning every game. They didn't do much in the Cup, though. And what do you think they're going to do in 2017?
Right, well, it's been a quiet year in terms of recruitment for Leeds. They've obviously got some talented youngsters, and they've obviously got some experienced guys in there, and what they've not done is press the panic button and go out and buy lots and lots of players. They've recruited sensibly where they needed it, in terms of Matt Parcell coming in to replace James Seguiaro. Matt Parcell is very highly thought of at Manly. I don't think he's in quite the same league as Seguiaro in terms of his dynamism and what he brings to the sport, but I certainly think he's going to be a much better hooker than Beau Falloon was this time last year. And then they've added youngsters Corey Aston and also Jack Ormonroyd, which is quiet recruitment, but I think it's quite good. Last year the problem was people were talking about the age of this team in certain places, and this Leeds golden generation, and can they go around again, and will they underachieve? And that's really been the question I've been trying to answer for myself. And looking down the list of some of the players, there's a lot of older guys in there having to do another pre-season, get themselves ready and go again. When you look at guys like Maguire, Burrow, Galloway, Jamie Jones-Buchanan, Carl Ablett, Brett Delaney, these are all guys on the wrong side of 30. which initially started me worrying until I decided to put together a 13 under 30 for the Leeds Rhinos, which is actually very encouraging. The back line is, as you would expect, Golding, Briscoe, Watkins, Moon and Hall. I had Lillian Aston in the halves, Mullally and Garber either side of Parcell, Stevie Ward, Walters and then Sutcliffe locking the scrum, which actually is a very talented, very well balanced side, even without all this experience.
And you've not put Singleton in there. And
I didn't do it.
You've not put Jimmy the Kind.
I didn't bother with a benchmark. I just did a 13, but there's lots.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh right, I see. Yeah,
more players, and then there's Ash Hanley, who's a young player who's got a lot of experience and scored a good amount of tries.
Precisely.
Yeah, you're right.
So what I don't think will happen, I don't think Leeds will allow to happen this year, is the drop and the plummet down the table. What I don't think will happen is that they'll fly back up into the top 4 immediately either. I think it's going to be a transitional season in terms of some of the older guys are going to get less game time, some of the younger lads, particularly in the halves, are going to get more. You'll see some slip-ups because of that, but I think overall we're going to see an improved Leeds Rhino side from last time out. So that's what I think we'll see.
Yeah, they can't be as bad as last year, surely.
Well, you would assume not.
The results. Like you say, still in transition and bringing through the new younger core. Because of that and the loss of top draw talent, Hardacre isn't in the side anymore. And yeah, he wasn't great last year, but he can be. And it's certainly got Cas fans excited. Seguiaro's not there, and we thought he was going to be the game breaker for them. I'm not expecting loads from Leeds this year. What I think they'll be is a mid-table team. I think they'll win the games they're supposed to and lose the games they're expected to. I think they'll finish in the middle. Yeah. Last year we touched a bit on the lack of productivity in terms of creating scores from the halfbacks, and then the lack of game time and that sort of stuff from some of the other more experienced heads around there. The decorated players like Hall, Burrow, Maguire, Ablett, they need to do a lot better than they were last year. They were not good enough last year. So to make Leeds be anything more than just another name in the competition, also Rans, they have to really step up from a level that maybe we've never seen from them before. So maybe that was an aberration. But they are at the wrong end of the career, most of those people, like you say. Who have you got then as your key man?
Right, I've gone a little bit off-piste. Hooker is going to be key for Leeds. And I would have said it had it been James Seguiaro, but I think Matt Parcell's going to be really key for them, because there isn't a massive... There's not a backup. There's not a really solid backup plan. Don't say Rob Burrow. There isn't a solid backup plan.
I don't know, dude. I saw a couple of highlights from the pre-season where Beep Beep was still...
Marvellous. I'm not concerned with how pre-season results go and pre-season performances. Matt Parcell hits the ground running and provides them with a medium to good hooker, and that really improves things for Leeds Rhinos, because they were sorely lacking that. We saw what adding a decent hooker to that team did for them towards the back end of last season. Matt Parcell's absolutely key. And my rising star is Corey Aston. I think he's a great acquisition. He's served his apprenticeship under his dad at Sheffield, and he's been in that Sheffield side for a long time, and he's still only little. He's only young, but I think he's a more rounded half. I think he's infield kicking, and the fact that he's learnt to read the game with big old championship forwards running at him for about the last 4 years is going to serve him really, really well when he eventually makes the step up into Super League, which I think he will, and I think he'll do very, very well. What about you?
Well, Matt Parcell as well is my key man, and it's not because he's the best player, it's not because he's the game-changing player, it's because they need something out of that position that they didn't get in the regular season last year at all. Paul Ayton, you talked about Seguiaro end of last year. Paul Ayton was the unsung hero in his years at Leeds. They far from adequately replaced him. Sean Lunt, when he played there, was better than the average hooker, but not outstanding. But you didn't. Same with Matt Diskin, to be very sort of brutal about it. But he was better than the average hooker, but not in the top 4 hookers in the league at any point. But that didn't mean he wasn't good enough for that team, and Matt Parcell needs to be at that level. He needs to be the 4th, 5th best hooker in the league for Leeds to get anything this year. And Seguiaro would have answered any questions you have. Whether Parcell can do the same, it's key to their success. But his talent's somewhat of an unknown because he didn't get enough game time at the top level. But everyone thinks the talent's there that I have seen him play quite a bit. Jordan Lilly is my rising star. You could almost argue that his star has risen already last year, but actually I think we got a bit carried away with Jordan Lilly last year. We did see some of the great things he could do. We did see some of the inconsistency that you're going to get from such a young player as well in a key position. And
it doesn't help for a lad that age when people who should know better are calling for him to be in the England squad and things like that, and actually we should be nurturing him, which I think
and I would be calling him a future star of England. Don't get me wrong, he's got that potential within him. Is mature, is disciplined, is organised, but also skillful, also can do something a little bit unexpected and different. So I'd expect him to keep progressing in 2017.
Fantastic. Okay, so in terms of league and cup performances then, I've got Leeds finishing 6th in the regular season, moving up to 5th as the Super 8s plays out, and a cup quarter final for them, which I think, whilst it's a muted expectation in terms of Leeds Rhinos and what they're used to, actually represents a steady and controlled recovery from what was a hemorrhaging season by their standards in 2016.
Yeah, I've got them 6th, staying 6th, cup quarters, very much the same.
Of course.
Loads of fan comments from the best supported club in the Super League.
Hardly unsurprising, so...
Quantity-wise, so
absolutely.
Adam Edwards, we'll start with. Leeds Rhinos are rebuilding, but what I would like to see us get in the Super 8s at least. Mitchell Dart said, Parcell to take the competition by storm. I expect Leeds to win some more bloody games. Daniel Hopwood says, poor recruitment, poor season, a mid-table mediocre year for the Rhinos. Looking on the bright side, the young squad will gain vital experience for the bright future many of them have. Mark Stevenson said, at best 6th place, but a lot depends on injuries. Hopefully we'll get a new coach at the end of the season because ours is done. Paul Wilson, he goes with, at best 6th place, but won't be surprised if we feature in the middle 8s again. With all the focus on the halves, our piss-poor defence around the ruck has not had the criticism it deserves. Singo and Garbutt can hit, but can't put a man down. So unless our props suddenly learn how to tackle, it's going to be a struggle to avoid the middle 8s. Rich Wilkinson, a bit more positive, says, back in the 8s, finished no higher than 4th. Rugby to be better than last year, but Mac to go at the end of the season. Dr. Bob Phillips says, Rhinos will start rusty, step up when they are being underrated, and then crash to finish 7th with sweat dripping from the brows of their fans. John Padgett,
missed you, Bob.
Cutthroat Jake said, Leeds will get in the top 8, perhaps as high as 6th. They'll win more this year, but will again take time gelling. Colin Render said, team still rebuilding, but better than last year. Top 8, 5th or 6th after the Super 8s. Starman will be Stevie Ward and Jordan Lilly. Matty Bryan, he said, another tough season, hopefully less injuries and a more stable team. I expect Stevie Ward to make a big difference, hopefully a place in the top 8. It's interesting that Matt Bryan got in touch when he's got a Super Bowl to start planning for now, the kicker for the Atlanta Falcons there. Paul Seaton said not to finish in the middle.
It's a very specific insider joke that I didn't get that one.
Fair enough.
Until you explained who Matt Bryan really was.
Paul
think he's the same guy?
No, I don't. Not to finish in the middle 8s again. And then Scott Lister said, finish 6th. Maguire, Burrow and JJB to retire at the end of the season. McDermott to be sacked for Easter. If not, see the fans hit boiling point with him not using all his bench and the players getting burnt out. But 2018 will be our year.
There you go. Wow.
Long range prediction there. And then finally, Dominic Hodgson.
Dom Hodgson and I are celebrating 1 year of Facebook friendship today.
Wow, there you go.
And he even got in touch and wished me happy friendiversary. And I did the same, but now I can do it on the podcast as well. Happy friendiversary, Dom.
Good stuff. Dom says, I see this as the final hurrah season for Burrow and Maguire, JJB, with Ablett and Delaney following in 2018. Youth is what will bring us silverware going forward, and if that takes a few years of us getting slowly better, then so be it. We need a leader on field. What he who shall not be named brought to the team at the end of last season was some on-field leadership and calls during the game. Don't know what's TLDR mean. Anyway, he says bottom of the top 8. He ran out of characters, didn't he?
TLDR? I'm not entirely sure.
No.
Right then, Mark, so on to Wakefield then, and expectations might be higher than people at Bellevue are used to heading into the 2017 season. Once Chris Chester arrived at Wakefield last year, they were on the up and up for a long time, finishing 8th in Super League, retaining that 8th place throughout the Super 8, and making it